We actually don't call ourselves anything. You know, this is just my son. Been training him since he was 3 years old. We do have various names with drum lines we were with, such as the Avengers drum line, Kel Genesis percussion, the Union of Heat. These were stuff that we were doing when we had drum lines that we played with. So we don't have a specific name between ourselves. My alias is Saint Matthew. My government name is Matthew Matlock Jr. I mean, that was a joke. Matthew Matlock Sr. I just played on that one, you know.
And would you be Junior by chance?
Yeah.
That's Junior.
Just a guess. Junior's origin in using the drums, the sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's your origin?
Church oriented, you know, as a kid I watched the drummer in church a lot. Just was inspired by what he did on the drums, and that's where my interest came from. And I just continued on through my life, having passion to play drums. Went to high school and was in a marching band, 4 years of high school at Murray Wright High School. I went to college to Central State University and came back and started teaching my own drum line. Now I have my own band. You can see that the drive is very, very dear to me as a drummer. That's how I was inspired to play the drums.
Even when you're not on the clock, you're still working.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a passion to you. You don't seem troubled by all this.
Yes.
Matthew Matlock Jr., how'd you get started in the drums?
I got started when I was 3. Because my dad, he used to always teach me. I always wanted to play the drums when I was a little kid. I seen my dad doing it, like, that looked cool, I'm gonna try it. I just wanted to learn how to play, and he taught me.
Cool. You're teaching it.
Yes.
You're at a career level. And what about you? At this moment, who knows what your life is going to be in 10, 20 years, but at this moment, where do you want to take your gift with the drums?
I'm gonna take it to, like, high school bands, and then go to college, and then trying to see if I could go and join a band out there.
Wow. Do you want to teach or just play or both?
Yeah, both. I do both.
How does your marching band influence your playing in the church?
Definitely church really influenced me. That's basically my roots. You can hear it a lot in my playing, but it just wasn't church. It was different genres of music that I was brought up on as a kid, you know, such as funk and R&B. I listened to a lot of jazz coming up. Gospel was really my foundational background. As far as the marching band, that just taught me a little bit more the fundamentals of drumming. And I learned it in the marching band when I was a student. And I took what I learned from, you know, my band director and different people that taught me and passed it on to people like my son, which was my first student, and different students that I've taught in various high schools and middle schools. As far as the background, it's basically foundational is gospel. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. There is this one drumline guy. You probably know his name, like Patrick McPatrick. He's some guy in Scotland, I think. You know,
Okay.
drum lines.
Okay.
He's got this great quote. He said, all drumming is two things, hits and rolls. If you sum it all up with those two things, or could you add a third thing, or is that about sum up drumming? You hit and then you roll. You just got two options, or is there more than that?
Well, it's actually more, you know, basically the foundation to drumming that I like to tell my students is basically timekeeping. You want to keep the time because as a drummer, that's what you are. You're a timekeeper. Without you, nothing doesn't move. Without you, nothing doesn't come alive as a drummer in the music. You are what makes people bob their heads and, you know, dance. You know, you're the one that gets people into the groove. So he's right, you know, as well as when you learn how to play further down the line. You know, drumming basically is, you know, you have to use your wrist to even have a roll or hit the drum. Anybody can come and beat on the drum, but effectively playing the drum makes a difference. So I don't disagree with him, but it's more so for a person that's been playing for a while, if you will. But the foundation basically is timekeeping. You have to keep the time as a drummer.
This is a very important thing in drumming. Maybe could each of you, starting with you, Matthew Matlock Jr., talk about how focus is important to do a good job at drums.
It's all about what you think about. You gotta have a visual, like, of yourself, so you won't be as worried about, oh yeah, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? You gotta have a visual of yourself playing the drums in your head. If you, like, have stage fright or something, just close your eyes for the very first performance. Just feel your environment and try to tune everybody out.
You have to focus. Dynamics are very important. You know, basically, we learned that when we were in school. And when I was in high school, the band director taught us a lot about dynamics. Decrescendos and crescendos basically are musical terms. Decrescendo is basically making the sound go lower, and then you go bring it up to high. Crescendo is bringing it up from high to low. basically you have to have dynamics, you know, in any band you have to have it, or you guys would just be a bunch of thrashers, like you said. The music will just be coming at you. So by me being taught that in the marching band, I taught that to my drumline students, and I really focused on that with those guys, and that's why we can do it in sync with each other, because we just went over that over and over instead of just having the kids just beat the drums. You know, anybody could beat, but effectively with dynamics, it really plays a part in the music.
Yeah, and I love the way you guys flow. You play off each other.
Yeah.
Is that entirely everything written out about it, or is there some improvisation that is involved in there? Is it completely by rote, or do you make it up sometimes?
Definitely improvisation, and being able to, like my son said, feel each other, feel the environment. Drumming is a conversation as well. Back in the day, the Africans, back in those times, the older times, the Africans used drums to communicate with each other because they couldn't be around each other, I guess, so they used the drums to communicate. And drums is basically a communication tool as well. So what we're doing is communicating off each other. We're basically talking to each other through the drums. The way that it's written, things could be written, but it's really about a feeling, man. You just have to feel what you're doing and basically just improv off each other. If you're skillful, it just makes it better and better. It gets better. It doesn't get hard. It's kind of like natural to us. Yeah.
Speaking of natural, Mr. Matthew Matlock Jr., you play, I'm sure, drumline. That implies a lot of people in there. Of all the people to play with, would you say your father is the easiest to improvise with, or do you have a friend in your drumline you really have like a good rhythmic understanding between each other?
Yeah. About the friend, yeah, I have a friend. Yeah, he's really he used to be my dad's drumline too. Like, we used to play together, and it's like we understand him more than any other person. We had a school person in our band, and we rarely understand what he was doing, because he was just basically saying, since y'all already know how to play, just go ahead and show me what y'all got, and you should be able to do this without even teaching us.
Mr. Matthew Matlock Jr., piece of wisdom for people.
Don't just keep thinking about your future. Worrying about what's gonna happen now, and make sure like you do everything that you can possibly do now, before in the future you won't be able to do it. Like probably old age or something, or you just not able to be able to do it, or you just forget about it. You do it now, you won't forget about it, or you can just write it down, and then just make sure you have everything you want, so you can just have it in the future.
Give a message to yourself. Maybe when you're graduating high school, you're entering college.
I say, just make sure you keep on doing what you're doing. Don't stop. Even when the hard times come up, don't stop.
Amen. Now, Mr. Matlock Sr., piece of wisdom for the folks at home that we're going to some jokes.
Yeah, well, basically, as a musician, man, never give up on your dream. Always follow your dream. Don't chase money, because it will come. As far as being a musician, never get cocky or arrogant about your gift, because there's somebody that you always can learn from. A person that's cocky would never ever get the gig. They would never ever get far because they think that they're better. You're supposed to uplift each other. If you have, and you're more skillful than the other person, you have to lift that person up. So never ever use your gift to try to, stomp people down and make people feel bad because you're kind of a little bit better or skillful than them. Always make sure that you're teaching someone else, because you're blessed with the gift to bless others. You're not blessed with the gift to just enhance yourself or belittle others.
Little test here. How are you with comedic timing? All right, we'll start with the senior, then to the junior, and back and forth.
A storm picked up eggs and milk over the Rockies and is now battering the Midwest. That's funny.
A hippo's mouth is wide enough to fit 4-foot-tall children. Unfortunately, after measuring the hippo's mouth, almost all the children were eaten. That's funny.
Crews in Ohio dismantled a tavern wall in search of Jimmy Hoffa's body, and sure enough, they found the inside of the tavern's wall. That's funny.
The Blue Man Group has been forced by the federal government to hire an orange man and a purple woman.
Okay.
A lot of people stress out about getting crow's feet, but personally, I would be more concerned about their long razor sharp beaks.
I think there's nothing cooler than being a lone wolf, except at wolf picnics when you don't have a partner for the wolf wheelbarrow versus.
How many people have to die before we finally do something about dropping pianos?
Yes, yes. Where's the investigation?
A Florida man was arrested for stealing a truck filled with 76,000 worth a Campbell's soup. I, for one, hope this guy goes away for good.
Call me crazy, but I take orders from Martians who sent secret messages beamed out from the antenna at the top of the Empire State Building.
Know who's even crazier than the cat ladies? Snake ladies.
No one ever said life is fair except for that Russian guy who worked at the fair. In Russian accent, life is fair.
In World Cup soccer, Mexican defeated Cameroon 1-0, or as it's known in soccer, a blowout.
Yeah. All right. Those are Norm MacDonald jokes. His blue card jokes. He's got like a show on Netflix, I think. But thank you, Mr. Matthew Matlock Sr., Mr. Matthew Matlock Jr., the future of drumming, the current king of drumming. You know, you're the heir apparent. You know, so thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.